What's up, guys? How are we doing? And welcome to the very first podcast of the new year. Today I have Callum Taylor. Very excited for this one. So, Callum, if you try to introduce yourself and basically tell a little bit about who you are and how you got into the industry.
Hi guys. I'm a local personal trainer from Blackpool, which is obviously the sunny side of the country up north. I've been personal training now for 2 years, and I've been in the industry for around about 3.5. Beginning as a gym instructor and then moving on to a personal trainer, which is normally the natural step. I would say it's one of the most common stories people would find. But a little bit of backstory about how I got into personal training. I pretty much kind of stumbled across it. It wasn't something that when I was younger, let's say maybe 15, 16, when I was moving into college from high school, it wasn't something that I was definitively set on. In the beginning, I had an idea of wanting to be a physiotherapist at first. So I went to college and I studied sport, of course. A very sporty kid when I was younger, so I studied sport. I got into studying business as well, and also psychology. And when I got down that route, I realised that maybe wanting to become a physio wasn't for me, with the biology route and things like that. But I was very interested in the sport, business and psychology, with all three things tying together. And it was quite interesting when I was at college that how much I actually enjoyed that side of it. But again, I never really had an idea that I was going to be a personal trainer at that stage. And I don't know whether you yourself have gone through like a sixth form or a college or something like that, but they're very pushy on people going to university. Now, personally for me, I applied and I thought it was going to be something for me. Maybe a lot of people in the same college were getting pushed towards university and obviously applying for a sports degree. I think that's among personal trainers and people maybe who are listening, like a sports science degree or something along the lines of that is probably one of the most popular degrees for personal trainers to acquire. So I applied for that, but then for some reason just didn't feel like it was for me. So I applied for a apprenticeship, which was basically my gym instructor qualification being paid for by the local council as I was working alongside that as a lifeguard. So at that stage, it was tough. It was one of the jobs that some people go through. And again, I don't know whether you've gone through something similar yourself, where you've worked in a job that you kind of know that you have to do to get to where you want to be. And you kind of just have to put up with it. So there's a lot of like scrubbing toilets and lifeguarding and doing some of the nasty jobs. But how it started was I was given the opportunity to be a gym instructor for 1 day a week. I was working 5 days a week, and on every Wednesday I was able to work in the gym with kind of like a mentor or somebody above me. And the gym at the time wasn't a PT gym. It was a council gym, a mainstream gym, and it only really had the basic processes of an introduction or like a consultation session with a new member. You would walk them through, how to walk on a treadmill and how to step off the treadmill, the very basic gym instructor kind of coaching points that you get told, but that was it, and there was a limit to it. But as soon as I got that first taste for being able to help people and see people start their journey, I think that stood me now in good stead for where I am with my personal training business, because it gave me that kind of bug to be able to help people. It gave me the scope to be able to look at where I could potentially take myself, because it was very basic. It was very simple, very easy to do. And the fact that the gym didn't offer personal training, I knew that at some point I was going to move on from that environment and move on to somewhere maybe a little bit more independent, which is obviously where I am now, being self-employed, working out of a personal training studio. It is a very different style of gym, a very different style of coaching, and being self-employed compared to being employed. Like the bit of background story, obviously, about yourself. I know the situation that you've gone through, being employed to now being self-employed. It's a big step. And I made that step, and it's probably, I've never looked back, to be honest. It's one of the best decisions I've made. And that's pretty much how I got into it. So yeah.
So in terms of actual personal training, how long have you been a personal trainer for now, roughly, to this day?
So I've recently, Memories on Facebook gave me a reminder that I set up my page 2 years ago. So it was around about January 2 years ago that I kind of took that first step to becoming a personal trainer. I had my qualifications through my current job. There was a training provider at the gym that I was working at that trained personal trainers up to level 3. So I got that and got that paid for through the council on the job that I was in. And yeah, I pretty much had a friend that I knew that owned a personal training studio, and he said, why don't you just come down and have a chat with me? So he was a co-owner of a business which is T12 that I work out of, so T12 Body Transformations. And so I went down for a chat, and pretty much it was initially trying to just find a little bit of work. They wanted me to go down there and work and train a couple of their clients and some classes. And I didn't really at that stage know that I was going to be self-employed. I thought that I was just going to kind of dip my toe in it a little bit and find my feet. And then from there, it pretty much just took off right from the very beginning. I was very lucky to be in that sort of environment. I was very lucky to have friends around me that helped in the beginning, and that support circle around any personal trainer is key, because at times it can be a very lonely job or a very lonely kind of business. Being a personal trainer, and to have that support around me at the beginning was fantastic. So yeah, two years now, I suppose.
So in terms of the actual studio, is that been 2 years in the studio that you're working at the moment, or is it another gym before and then straight in the studio?
Yeah, so I've always been personal training in the same studio. So I've been personal training in T12, and like I say, I was at a council gym as a gym instructor before that. But just personal training, I've been within T12 ever since. I began personal training right from the roots, and I think the thing that kind of made it such a comfortable environment for me was the fact that it is a private only studio. Now there's very few of those gyms, I think, locally and maybe even nationally that are just simply for personal trainers and their clients. There's a lot of mainstream gyms, and you know how they work, where clients can obviously come in and you can pick up clients on the gym floor. And I think a different route that I've taken with that is, obviously we don't have clients coming through the door. We don't have clients walking in and out, and I'm never really on a gym floor as a personal trainer. So a lot of my business through personal training has come through social media, coming through offline marketing, online marketing, and pretty much just trying to get myself out there, because the gym in itself doesn't provide that for me. Effectively, being self-employed, I've had to do a lot of that background work myself, and it has taken time to build up. Like I say, 2 years. It feels like I've been in it a long time. But if you look at it in terms of the grand scheme of things, there is a lot more to learn. I can see myself being in this industry for a very, very long time, simply just because of the passion and the drive that I have to be able to deliver clients' results, and also make sure that people are getting served for what they need, which is obviously results and changing their lifestyle, and making sure that they're getting fitter, healthier, stronger, and getting a good mindset as well, which is hugely important for me.
Yeah, fantastic to hear, mate. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to get you on. We spoke before, and that's purely because I think with PT now, and that's no disrespect, because I'm one of those that you can get handed clients, you get that initial stage. Well, for yourself, if you're in a studio, you, like you said exactly a second ago, you have to do all the marketing yourself. You have to do all your social media. You have to basically find people to PT, rather than be like, oh, here's whoever, she wants to do X amount of sessions a week, can you help her? Whereas you actually have to find her yourself. So just one question before we go on to like some certain topics is, in terms of the actual studio, and obviously like for myself, the gym that I work, you do like 15 hours, some people you get paid. How does your studio, if you don't mind talking about this, how does your studio work in terms of structure? And are you, when you say completely self-employed, that you just work there and pay a rent fee, or how does that work?
Yeah, so in the beginning, it was more of a fact that I worked for the gym as such. So they would kind of provide me with certain clients that they would like me to train right in the initial stages. So they would, let's say there's a 2-to-1 that would like training, and the way in which that I train, that I'll come on to probably a little bit later in the podcast. It suited a lot of group style training, the way that I like to train people and the way that I almost like to train myself. So they gave me the initial clients, and I was kind of just working. I was still self-employed, but they were kind of handing me a few clients. And then when all of a sudden I started building my own business and building my own clients, I kind of stepped away more so from coaching for them. So I tried to grow my own Callum Taylor Fitness brand and business. And then as soon as that kind of really started to take off, from the very beginning, I stopped coaching more for the gym, and then I moved on to a rent basis. So yeah, I pay a monthly rent to the gym. And I'm pretty much now out on my own. So I do a handful of sessions, group sessions for the gym. I'm still on a private basis, probably do around about 4 or 5 sessions a week. But for myself at the minute, I've managed to build up my client base to around about 25 clients plus. So that I'm all self-employed. And I think one topic that you might want to talk about is how some people can transform from being maybe employed by the gym to being self-employed on their own, but just paying a rent basis. And I don't know how it works with you in the current gym that you work at, but I think that for me, that is personally the best route to go down, being in control of your own business, being in control of your own clients, and paying a monthly rent, and being able to have the freedom of your own work, not maybe having to do certain hours, and you can pick and choose when you want to work, is ideally where I'm most comfortable, I would say. So yeah, I don't know how it works with you in terms of the gym that you work at.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think the gym that I still work at, I did 15 hours for free and then PT on top of that. I remember at the time when I basically changed over, and exactly what you said, you need that foundation first before you okay, I'm going to go on my own, because
definitely
you need that baseline of, kind of roughly what you're getting in a week, and then how many hours, and then working out there. I think it's quite interesting when and we spoke about this before, when I first moved off my hours onto rent, I pay £500 a month, which some people might hear as, oh my God, that's so much money. But what it gives you is time, and like we spoke about before, with social media, marketing yourself, and like I said earlier, this is why I wanted you on, because you market yourself very, very well in order to get clients into your studio. So what it gives you, and again, anyone that you speak to, family or even other PTs, you say £500, £500, that's so much money. Or in actual fact, what it gives you is time, and if you can, again, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You can suddenly pick up loads of clients, but it gives you time to invest in social media, gives you more time in the gym to actually speak to people, offer different sessions, and that transition period is very, very important. And I said earlier, basically what I did in the summer was I thought, okay, I've got my baseline now. People are going to come to me, and I was wrong. I'm almost a year, so I was a PT from October. I started PTing from October. This was like June, July, and I thought, okay, I got my baseline, I'm going to get a few clients, it's all going to be good. And I was completely wrong, because a couple drop off, as they do once they hit a certain goal, and they're with you for a long enough period of time. And I got it completely wrong, and that's when kind of it was around sort of October time, I really learned that the time that I have, I've really got to invest into everything I've got. So I can't just be like, I'm just going to pick and choose a couple of hours, like we spoke about before, with content on Instagram, with just everything. There's so much that you can do. If there's a time where you're just sitting there and you're unsure what to do, then you need to have a little think about, and this is why I always talk about people in the industry. See what they're doing, see what content they're making. Don't copy them, don't do exactly what they're doing, but take little snippets from them.
Definitely.
And that leads me on to my next point fantastically well. So one of the points I want to speak about is when you do a qualification, and we know these, I know you did it through your work, your instructor work, whatever, but we all know these qualifications are bullshit. Basically, all it is it's just basically insurance to just get you into the gym. It's like, when you're on a fucking night out and you're just paying like a £5. That's basically all it is just getting you into the building.
Definitely.
So how do you find, once you do the qualification, how do you find you as a PT? Like, what do you go in thinking, okay, I'm going to be this PT, I'm going to help this sort of person, this is going to be my niche? How do you find yourself in the industry?
It is a very good point that you made there, and the qualification, everybody knows that, and anybody who's listening to this podcast and anyone that kind of follows, fitness as a social media or an industry on social media, it's quite diluted. It's very easy to get into the industry as a baseline, but I think one point, and one very important to make, is that I think it's very hard to be successful in it because of that reason. There is a lot of competition. There is a lot of personal trainers out there, and there's nothing wrong with having competition and having other people around you, because, like you say, you can look at what other people are maybe doing. You can look at what you're doing yourself, and learn from that, and make sure that you're putting it into a positive way where you're making sure that you're improving as a personal trainer, learning from other people's mistakes even, and also learning from people's strengths and what you see them doing well. And I think in the beginning, for people that are either looking to get started as a personal trainer or are just starting out, that phase that you were talking about, where it's quite hard to find your feet in the beginning, you're kind of understanding what it takes, and you're understanding the social media aspect, and you're understanding the sheer work that goes into being self-employed as a personal trainer. Right at the very, very beginning, I'll be 100% honest, and I probably did struggle with that. In the beginning, being able to balance, I'm 2 years in now, and I think it's still an issue for most people in the industry to find that balance between work, life, relationships, everything else that comes with life. But I was very lucky to be in the situation right at the very beginning where I had no other ties. I jumped straight from the job that I was doing into personal training full time, and I had so much spare time. And like you say, whether you're on a monthly rent basis or you simply just have a lot of time spare, I would recommend anyone at the beginning that if, like I said, they're starting to become a personal trainer or want to become a personal trainer, it's a little bit different if some people are full-time and then doing kind of PT on the side, because that can be I can imagine that being very, very stressful. But if you can put as much time and effort into the beginning of your startup, so making sure that you've got systems in place, making sure that you kind of get an understanding of how social media works and how to gain clients or speak to clients on social media, that's an important factor right at the very beginning, making sure that you've got that time to be able to do it, because that's your foundations. Like I say, you build from that right from the very beginning. You learn from when you're talking to clients. You say clients drop off. You learn from everything. I believe everything is a learning curve. Whether you gain a client, whether you lose a client, whether you all these different types there's so many different aspects. We could talk for days and days and days, but having that time and being able to put that effort into it, if you're really serious about personal training and you love it as a lifestyle, I don't even see it as a job personally, then having that time at the very beginning to start up and make sure that you're setting yourself a good foundations to build from is absolutely key, 100%. And I was quite fortunate enough, like I say, I have such a passion for it that it doesn't feel like a job. And you're probably exactly the same, and a lot of people listening to this are probably exactly the same. I know that you did a podcast with Callum, who I follow on social media as well. And again, his passion for just the industry as a whole is huge. And I think it kind of portrays onto your business as a whole as well, if you've got that passion and the wanting for that success to be able to continue that on for months and months and months.
Yes, it's funny you say that, because I was going to come on to coaches and I was going to speak about Cam later, but exactly, you want to, like, I find myself as coach, like, especially this last 6 months, I would say. I've been a personal trainer since October 2017. And I think the last 6 months is where I've really kind of found my feet in terms of where I want to go. And it's one of those things, exactly what you said, the main point there is time. Like, time is so important in so many aspects. And especially in this one, it takes time to find out who you're going to be as a PT. As you're doing a qualification or anything like that, you have no idea what you're going to be as a personal trainer. You have no idea how to do consultation.
No idea.
You have no idea what sort of like people you want to train. You have a rough idea. You think, oh, okay, I can train people that's similar to me, but it doesn't always happen like that. And you find different markets that you actually really, really enjoy a type of person to train or or vice versa. And I think, like, especially over the last 6 months, like, I like so many different PTs. Like Cam, for example, his love for the industry is fantastic. When you're talking like people that are perhaps a lot higher in industry that you see on social media, like James Smith PT, Jamie Alderton, people like that you take bits from. Like, I love James Smith's like sarcasm and kind of how, like, it's a really cringy sentence, but like how real he is. I like that. Jamie Alderton, in terms of his actual social media, he's like a mini version of like Gary Vee in terms of what he does, and he does it all himself. So you take little aspects of who you want to be as a PT, and again, this goes down to like the copying aspect, that you don't want to copy. You want to be like, okay, I'm going to be the next Grenade J. It doesn't work like that. You have to be like, okay, I love what he does, I'm going to try and incorporate into what I do. So in terms of, so we talk about that initial stage of being quite tough, the first kind of 6 months, basically having that foundation. In terms of sustaining and getting more clients, how do you go about doing that? So firstly, let's break that up. So in terms of sustaining clients, so clients that you have, how do you sustain them?
I think in the beginning, it's one of those situations where there's different types of personal trainers. There's different types of packages that people offer. There's different services that people want to offer. And the main thing for me at the beginning, taking it maybe a step forward, the clients that come to me and the clients that I have already know, due to the social media work that I put out there, due to the consultation, due to the process in the lead up to that, which we'll probably come on to in a second. But I think once you've got that client and you've got that, then there, it's providing the service that they have pretty much signed up to. I don't have certain like an 8-week package or a 12-week package. The clients that come to me know that they're in with me to change their lifestyle, and I look at the industry as a whole, and some amazing aspects to it. But at the end of the day, the general public, there's a big issue if we look at it with people becoming less active, becoming the obesity rates are still sky high, and the people that are coming to me are mainly, how can I put it, in terms of lifestyle changing clients. They're not here for short-term results. So I make sure that throughout the process of the onboarding process, right from the very beginning, that they know that they're in it for the long term. So I've had some clients with me right from the very beginning of when I started personal training. So I've had Lauren, who's one of my clients who I've had for 2 years, Rachel for 2 years, and I look at the lifespan of my client, and I like to think personally I'm quite happy with the way that I retain my clients. And there was quite an interesting post. I don't know if you follow Oliver Tennant. So he put a post out today. I can't remember exactly the words, but he's basically saying treat your clients well enough train your clients well enough so they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't want to. And that's, I've read that post, and that was absolutely down to a T what I believe in. The clients that come to me, I want to make sure that for whatever reason they decided to leave, whether it's financial, whether it's the fact that they've moved away, or circumstances mean that they have to start personal training, that they've learned something from that. They're able to then take that away and apply it to their own lifestyle. But I think a main reason, or the biggest success that I've had with retaining clients is making sure that you treat them well enough to want to stay with you. And there's many different aspects to that. I think personality is a huge thing, and obviously with the industry that it is personal training at the end of the day. So it's every single personal trainer that exists in the UK has a talent to be able to coach somebody, because that's why they're in the industry. Like I say, with the qualifications in which that you get, everyone who is a personal trainer is able to coach somebody. But are you able to sustain that over a long period of time? Are you able to build a relationship with that client? Are you able to understand different aspects of their lifestyle? Because the main point that I make to my clients when they come to me in the first place is this is more than just personal training sessions. It is more than just coming to see me for 45 minutes to an hour a couple of times a week and just getting your training, and then as soon as you leave that door at the PT studio, you're left on your own. So a main point that I, even to some other personal trainers that I speak to in the industry, and like I say, my clients personally as well, you have to offer value. You have to offer something more than just a personal training sessions, because that is so key. There's so many different PTs out there. It's a very diluted industry. You know, let's say there's 10 PTs in a room and one client walks through the door. What is going to make you stand out? What is going to make you different to the other 9 personal trainers that are stood in that room? And I really try and set myself and position myself to a point where I'm going to go the extra mile for every single client that comes through the door with me. And I think you can't really overlook that. I think there's many different aspects that people get confused about. You know, are your coaching sheets, you know, looking really fancy, and are your sessions like completely blowing people away? And it's more to it than that. There's more background work that I think people understand. I like to see all of my clients that I have currently at the minute as almost friends in a way. Obviously, to a certain extent, you don't want to, you keep it to a certain extent, but I like to think that they know about me, about what goes on in my lifestyle, and I know what goes on about theirs, because when you're trying to coach somebody, you can't ignore the fact that there's things that are going on outside of the personal training sessions. So you have to ask them how the weekend was. You have to ask them how the week's going, how the work shifts are going, and everything like that. And I think a huge part to me retaining the clients that I've had for months and months and months and months is due to that, is due to treating them well and making sure that they feel valued when they come to my gym or my sessions, which is huge.
Yeah, spot on, some fantastic points there. I think the most notable one for myself, just by listening to that, is personal training. And like you said, personal, like they're buying into
100%.
you. They're buying into you is a massive one. So you could know the most, you could be the most knowledgeable PT in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have no, I don't want to say like no social skills, but if you struggle to actually speak to someone, a person, the client might just get bored. They might just like, yeah, they know they can get results with you, and some people might find that fantastic, but a lot of my clients, they love that interaction. Like you said, with the friends aspect, you've still got to find like that line of friendship in terms of coming too much into your life. But yeah. You've got to be open and take an interest in them is fantastic. In terms of moving on to growing your client base, like just on a few points, how do you sort of grow your business? How do you kind of try and find new clients and bring them to the studio?
So like I said, going back to the point that we made a little bit earlier before, it's probably been, I wouldn't say harder, because, you know, people that maybe work in a mainstream gym, there is clients on the gym floor that you're able to go up and speak to and interact with, and, you know, kind of give them some free value, some advice and stuff like that. I think the thing that I found is obviously social media is such a big factor at the minute with the whole industry, you know, as a whole, not just personal training, but the whole health and fitness industry. Social media is huge. So that's obviously in the aspects of online marketing. I try and make sure that, and you're exactly the same, trying to post consistently something valuable to the person that's going to see your stuff as a potential client, because everyone that is following you, whether you have 500 followers, 5 followers, 5,000, 50,000, everyone that's following you, I see as a potential client or potential person that you want to work with, and making sure that you get that message across, that you're open and willing to work with certain people that you want to work with. I think going back to the point that you said, in the initial 6 month stage, it's a little bit different. So anyone who's listened to this in that stage, you know, I think you have to be a bit more of an open book and be willing to work with anybody that kind of comes to you, because you're always going to learn from that. You know, I've worked with people before in the past that I've learned from, and the clients that I've got from at the minute, I'm still learning from. And growing that business in the initial stages is different to maybe a year like you are down the line, and maybe 2 years down the line, even longer than that. The online marketing is huge at the minute, and especially, like you say yourself, posting constant content that's going to provide value to certain people, because that does not only just grow following, which obviously then increases the amount of potential clients that you can have, but also I think a lot of people, or myself, I really try and focus on offline marketing, which I think is people sleep on it a little bit. I think offline marketing is huge. You know, if you've got even a couple of clients in the beginning, regardless of whether you're 6 months in or whatever, if you have 1 or 2 clients and you make sure that you provide that value, you get them the result that they want, and you're taking them on the journey where they're going from A to B and they're successful with it, why can that client not spread the word that you've done that for them? You know, an offline marketing aspect is, you know, referrals. I think I offered and I still do offer a referral scheme where if, let's say, a client recommends me to one of their friends or family member, both parties will get money off. Yeah. And that was a huge factor with the clients that I was getting results with. You know, they were just talking about the results, saying, oh yeah, I'm going to Cal on my lunch break, or I'm going to see Cal tomorrow. And then obviously that just starts a conversation. So I think a mixture between online and offline marketing, but I think as a one-to-one personal trainer especially, it's a little bit different for online coaches, because obviously it is simply just all online. But if you're looking to grow your one-to-one business, which, you know, I'd say is my bread and butter at the minute, offline marketing is huge and it is massive. Like I say, people sleep on it, I think. Referral schemes are fantastic. I think if you look at the influencer kind of, let's say, industry, that you can make that at your own little small level. So if you've got 5 clients, what's not to say that you can just say to that client, you know, can you just tag yourself in it, Callum Fitness, or the gym that you're working at, and saying that you had a great session. What's not to say that grows a following more so than posting content on social media? And I don't know what your view is on, I don't know whether you do any offline marketing or you do any referral schemes, or people watching this, whether they do as well. But I think that was a huge thing for me. I'm very lucky to have clients that have been with me for a long time, and like I say, I've built that relationship with, and they're willing to help me grow my business, not just by myself. So like, you can almost turn your clients into brand advocates in a way. Like, you want them to say, oh yeah, he was great, he got me the result that I wanted, the sessions are amazing, you know, he takes care of you, he does all this extra stuff. That is huge for a potential client. If they get that social proof and they get that kind of, because a lot of people are a little bit nervous to maybe message a personal trainer at first, but having that kind of second opinion from someone that's not your, like you or I, like putting the content on social media and stuff, is huge. And like I say, I think offline marketing for one-to-one personal trainers is a route that maybe is being slept on a little bit at the minute. Like I said, I don't know what you do, but
yeah, I think spot on. I think referrals, like you said, little deals that you did, for example, like what you do, with if you refer a friend, you get something out of it, and that's fantastic in terms of actually getting to meet this, because like you said, they might be a bit shy at first. So if a friend was like, well, I might be interested in PTing with Callum as well, they might be a little bit shy. So your first deal, you know, come to the gym, meet me, and then once they get to know you as a PT, and that's what you want, you need that actual dialogue with them so they can actually trust you, and then they can actually invest in you. Exactly. I definitely think, again, it's so easy to get the two muddled up with PT, one-to-one PT and online coaching. They do cross over in some aspects in terms of, like you said, with tagging yourself into it and trying to spread the word, because even though it's one-to-one PT, that's still on social media, so it's still it's still online. But in terms of what you're actually doing, like if you want to build your one-to-one business, and go back to Oliver, he always speaks about this, you know, get into the gym, start interacting with people, which is
100%
speaking to people, which would be fantastic. And then obviously online's completely different, because, and that's more what I'm trying to go into a little bit at the moment, is showing what you're about, showing what you do with your clients, and just providing content. And I definitely find for myself, in terms of actual content, is I've moved away from trying to provide content that everyone else does, but I still provide the same content, but in like a slightly different way. So I try and do like different memes and things that get people talking, and it's just a bit of a laugh, but then still learn at the same time. But no, I think you're absolutely spot on with what you said. So next question that I was going to ask is basically your thoughts on a coach being coached, because for myself, the last 6 months, well, probably last year, but more the last 6 months, I've invested in a lot of people. I do. I have membership sites that I sign up to, like I pay an like £5-6 a month, I listen to so many podcasts, loads of different things in the industry where I'm learning from, and I think that's one of the problems when you get a qualification for being a PT and you think, yes, I'm free now. I know everything. I got this. I got a pass, so I know everything. I don't need to learn anymore. I just learn off my own back. Whereas for myself, I've learned so much from other people, and going back to Cam, because he was my coach last summer for my show. Fuck me, did I learn so much from him, and he's a credit to the industry because he's a top guy. So, and you've been coached yourself, haven't you? By Ollie.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on like a coach like us, a trainer, on being coached? And yeah, what basically your thoughts on that?
I think it is something that some people would look at and maybe go, you like you say, you're a personal trainer, you've got the qualifications. Why would you need extra help? Why would you need to grow your knowledge and expand your knowledge, but also get the result for yourself? I think there's many different aspects to it, and what I'll come on to, maybe not in order, but certain points that I believe that it is absolutely 100% okay to be coached by a coach. And there's many, like I say, many different reasons. The main one being that we're all human. We don't, as personal trainers, know everything. Regardless of whether you've been in the industry 10 years or a year or 2 years, all these different types of, where people are at, you're still learning. There's still things to learn. The fitness industry is evolving all of the time. There's different things that get introduced. There's different research. There's different knowledge that starts to maybe... So if you look at the industry maybe 5 years ago, the information that was maybe getting churned out then is completely different to the information that's getting churned out now. And I think whether you decide to go down the route of getting a one-to-one coach, whether you go down the route of getting maybe a business coach, not just a physical training coach, if that makes sense. If you're expanding your knowledge and you're willing to invest in making yourself a better coach and a better person as a whole, what can you lose from that? There is absolutely nothing that you can lose from it. The money aspect of some people are a little bit scared at times to maybe part with a little bit of the money that they earn. But at the end of the day, if you're learning from it and you're growing as a person and your business therefore improves as a personal trainer because your knowledge is expanded and so on, I don't really see an issue with it whatsoever. And I was coached by Ollie, on the Bill with Brown condition with Carson, and that was it was a long plan actually. I think it was, off the top of my head, about 6 months, maybe 5 to 6 months of the program, and it was all dedicated to pretty much going through a mass gaining phase. It was trying to build as much muscle as possible in that period of time. And you'll know yourself going through the show. I've not personally done a show myself, but obviously going through that, it is a very, very hard process to sustain over a long period of time. Let's say you were looking to do a mini cut for 2 to 4 weeks before a holiday. That is a completely different ball game to doing something as serious as what you've done and going on a program that's longer than that period of time. And I learned so much, like I say, from following someone else's program, following kind of like the check-in process that Ollie went through on my PT Hub, which I now use for my online clients, and just learning and understanding what your clients go through when they come to you is huge. Because I think, like I say, when people get the qualification right at the very beginning, when they become a personal trainer, they feel like that's then sorted. They don't have to do a single thing for the rest of their life. They've got the PT qual, they can train clients, yeah, great, amazing. But I think if you don't evolve and you don't expand your knowledge, you will almost get found out. The fitness industry will catch up with you. If you're constantly learning and constantly evolving, or if you're not, you will kind of pretty much get left behind, I feel personally. So making sure that you're staying up to date with the current research, staying up to date with people like Jamie Alberton and James Smith and all these different people that are kind of headlining the industry at the minute. Learning off these guys and that's free content. That's not even paying for this. Social media is amazing. Follow people that you can learn from on a daily basis. and you can even get coached from an indirect social media post, like Oliver's posts and Cam's posts and things like that. You'd learn from things like that, and you're not even being one-to-one coached by that person. But I feel like it's a huge thing that people should be looking at doing, and it is a very, very positive thing to do, because you get to interact with people that, are similar, like-minded to you. You're going through a process that they've probably been through before. That's why they're then coaching you in that aspect. And there's other things as well. You're talking about, obviously, physical training. I've been to, if you follow Sucks to Do. No. So Sucks2Do is an online fitness business coach, and obviously online trainers that are looking to get into that industry. He's fantastic to watch, because he's effectively providing training for online coaches to be able to grow their business, not only lead gen and how the back end of the business works, but also just being on social media. He's a fantastic person to follow. And yeah, I think it's amazing. And for anyone watching, if they're thinking about maybe getting a coach, or they're thinking about investing in themselves to become a better personal trainer or a better person in general, whether you're a coach or you're just an admirer of the fitness industry, do it. Just go for it. Just bite the bullet, and you will always learn from it. Whether it's a bad experience or a good experience, you will learn from it either way. And I think... get that idea out your head of going, shall I not, shall I not, just go for it, bite the bullet, 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're absolutely spot on in what you're saying, and I think sometimes people can be a little bit embarrassed, and like the fact that a coach is going to get coached, it's like, hang on, do you not know your shit? Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Whereas in actual fact,
this guy know what he's doing.
Yeah, it'd be like, hang on, like if he's getting coached, does he actually know what he's doing? He's a fraud. Like, in terms of actually looking for a coach, I think Ollie's fantastic. I've never been coached by myself, but I follow on social media. He's fantastic in what he does. Same by Cam. And I think you have to basically look for the right coach. Don't just be like, okay, I'm going to get coached by this guy because he's competed in this many shows and he looks like this. Is his knowledge there? Is he going to help you in whatever you're looking for? And I think that's a very, very important aspect. And agree what you say, and this is going back to the previous point of for myself paying my gym rent. A lot of people will see that as, you're paying £500 for basically having your time back. But that time, like the point we made earlier, in terms of actually trying to get more clients, but it's actually a lot of that as well. I want to invest in myself, so I fucking love listening. Back in the day, I would never listen to books and podcasts and everything like that. Now I fucking love it, because I love investing 100%. In my industry, and I love investing in things that I really, really care about. So for myself, that time has given me to learn more about who I want to be, and it gives me more time to invest in coaches like Ollie, for example. And that's very, very important in terms of actually growing in an ever-growing environment and industry, like we said earlier.
Yeah, 100%. And like I say, you do learn from that experience. Like I say, regardless of whether you've got a coach on a group basis, one-to-one basis, building your knowledge off them, regardless of, because you can use it in two different aspects. When you were following the plans that Cam, let's say for example, not only were you learning about the process in which that he set for you as a coach, and you can learn from that, you're also learning about your own training, investing time in yourself, achieving things that maybe were a dream like 1 or 2 years ago, competing in a show and getting into the condition that you got into. You wouldn't have been able, I don't feel personally, if I was to do that myself, I wouldn't be able to prep myself. I wouldn't be able to do that myself. So go into somebody in the industry that you trust and you followed for a long time, and you understand their content, is massive, because there's the two kind of sides to the industry. And I feel like this year in 2019 is going to be one of those years where there's a lot of, like clickbaity stuff on Facebook and Instagram where it's buy this short plan. And James Smith put a post out, I think it was today or yesterday, that was basically just slating those short plans that, let's say, somebody with 500,000 followers is posting and selling like an 8-week guide. They're not coaching programs. They're not things that you're really going to learn from. And going back to the point that I made about when I retain my clients, I make sure that they understand that as well. I never set an end date on the plan, for the reason being is let's say you follow an 8-week plan or a 12-week plan, or you're providing that as a coach, yes, you can learn things in that certain period and you can then go and apply that elsewhere. But if it's got a deadline on it, for you to sustain that level of performance, or to sustain those habits that you've got, you would have to do that 4-week, 12-week plan time and time again. Whereas, like I say, the thing that you invested in yourself and the thing that I invested in myself, and I will continue to do so, I don't like to do short courses effectively. I like to do something that's going to take a long time, is going to invest a lot of my time into it, because then that's when you learn the most valuable points. You're not just following a certain guideline that somebody's told you to do. You're actually digesting the information that someone has given you, a coach has given you, and you can go and apply it. You can, and I like to think that myself as a coach to my clients, I'm exactly the same, in terms of being able to go away and understand the information that I've given them and then apply it to their lifestyle, rather than just going, oh yeah, I'll just follow this diet plan, or I'll follow this coaching program, and not really understand why you're doing it, because that's huge, I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think you're in the same kind of position as myself in terms of you're always thinking long term, you're always thinking lifestyle, nothing short term. I think the only way it can be kind of short term is, for example, if someone comes to yourself and they're like, okay, I've got a holiday in June, I've got 3 months to get in shape, that's the only time I want to pay for PT, you accept it. But again, I think in the industry and social media and how fitness is marketed, it's got to be quick, it's got to be short term, just like everything in the world. Everything's so quick now.
Everyone wants instant success, don't they?
Whereas I think fitness, it can't be like that. There's certain things that you can put in place, but and that leads me on to my last question really, really nicely. So in terms of actually growing a business, personal training business, an online coaching business, what sort of important steps, you don't have to go through like each point, but what sort of important steps do you think you've learned and you apply and can recommend to anybody else?
Obviously there's many different points. It's a big question, and anyone who is watching, even yourself, myself, there is room to continue growing. One point I would always say is never set a ceiling on what you want to achieve. Set yourself certain targets and set yourself goals of what you want to achieve, but once you've reached that goal, set another one. Keep moving forward consistently all the time, because I think if you get a little bit complacent, or you're trying to grow your business, and once you feel, maybe there's nothing wrong with feeling comfortable, don't get me wrong, but I think just the personality that I've got, and I think yourself have got, in terms of once you've reached a certain goal, or once you maybe feel content, it doesn't happen for very long. I might be content for maybe a few days, and then I want to learn something new, I want to try something new, and I think to have that mentality is huge, is massive going forward. But there's nothing wrong with being content. There's nothing wrong with being happy with where you are at the minute. Don't get me wrong. But if you're wanting to grow, obviously that is the key word. If you're content, you're not really looking to grow. But if you're wanting to grow your client base, or grow your following, or grow your influence on your local market, you have to be willing to consistently work and consistently put that time in. So that's probably one point. I'd say another point would be finding what you're really good at and sticking to it, pretty much. I think there is many different aspects to fitness, as a coach, that you don't really want to try and, say that you're a fat loss and then a muscle building and a bodybuilding, but you don't want to kind of go into all these different markets. If you look at the people that are doing fantastic in this industry, they are, exactly what they're about. You know exactly who they want to work with. You know exactly their ethos and what they want to provide as a coach, and find what you do personally enjoy the most yourself and you love doing. And for me, I think a big thing is making sure that I can help that person, but I want them to feel that love that I have for the industry back, if that makes sense. As a client, I want them to come into sessions, I want them to speak to me on social media and love the whole aspect of it, pretty much. And that's the type of client that I would say my niche that I would like to work with. Anyone who's, whether they're beginner, they're advanced, or kind of just in between, they maybe go to gym every now and again but just want a little bit of help, trying to develop that passion within them is quite key for me. It's a task, don't get me wrong, because some people don't always necessarily like training. They maybe feel just obliged to do it and turn up to the training sessions, and then they can go and live the life as much as they can. But growing a business is hard, and there's so many different aspects to it. But being willing to consistently work on what you feel is necessary for your business, and also finding that niche and kind of dovetailing the two together, and consistently working on your content that aligns with who the type of person that you want to work with, and identifying your strengths and weaknesses as well. I don't think a lot of people maybe do this. I certainly don't do it as much as what I feel like I should, where you just have an hour where, we're talking, going back to the point that you made, if you have got time to do it, this is something that I would advise people to do, is just getting a piece of paper or your iPad or laptop or wherever it is, and writing down what you're good at doing, and try and focus your business on your strengths. So let's say you're really good at client interaction, you're good at social media, you're good at programming and making sure that the client feels as if they're on a journey. Build business around your strengths and what you're really good at doing, and then whatever weaknesses you do have on the opposite side of the page, work on those as well. Don't just accept that they're a weakness. So one thing that, let's say a year ago, I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable enough jumping on this podcast. I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable videoing myself, talking about things that I believe in, because I just didn't have the confidence to be able to do it. And that was when I've got it on one of my notebooks. It's in my bag, that I just carry around with me, because if I ever have an idea, I just write it down. So when I was doing my strengths and my weaknesses, I listed all these weaknesses. It was maybe like talking in front of a camera. My social media maybe wasn't where I wanted it to be. The back end of my service in terms of the onboarding process probably wasn't where I wanted it to be. So what did I do? I went away and worked on those things, but dovetailing them into my strengths as well. So making sure that I built my business and built all those weaknesses around what I was actually good at doing. Because if you're not self-evaluating and you're not understanding where you're currently at, you can't understand where you want to grow. And if there is an area that you specifically want to grow in and you want to improve on and become better at, again, go back to the point of investing your time into doing that 100%, whether you pay somebody to do it, whether you just go away and listen to podcasts and you watch YouTube videos and things like that, just go and do it. Spend some time on it. And you will get some benefit from it. It's 100%. No one's going to take it away from you. So yeah, just keep working on it. Keep going and believe that you can do it. Because that's one thing that's massive. People don't believe they can do it. Everyone can achieve amazing things. Everyone can achieve fantastic success. So there's a lot of how many million people live in this country and how many PTs. There's enough clients for everybody, so we can all grow our businesses to a stage where everyone's got enough clients as a fair share of people. And yeah, so why can't we do that? Just invest time in yourself and you will grow and apply it. It's massive.
Fantastic points there, Callum. And I definitely think self-evaluation is very, very important. I think in terms of actually, like, say, going back to school, you always get told you got to work on your weaknesses, and I'll talk about that in a second, but you've always got to work on your weaknesses and you never focus on your strengths. And I think that's where, between the ages of 15 and 21, probably 6 years, I basically got stuck because I was not good at a lot of things, and I'll openly admit that. And I was not intellectual in academic, typical school things. And I always got told, like, Nathan, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't whatever. But the biggest thing I've learned in the last 2 or 3 years is I've worked on my strengths, and I made a commitment to myself to just keep working my strengths. And then it's come to my weaknesses in terms of I know what I want to do. So this is what I love doing, working in industry, working with one-to-one, online and everything like that. So now I think I do exactly the same. I work out, okay, what weaknesses have I got? What do I need to improve on? And I remember, I think it was about 9 months ago, something like maybe a year. And I really want to talk more on my story. And I'd never spoken in front of a camera before. I'd never spoken anything like that. It was so embarrassing. My girlfriend, she was literally like, Nathan, just do it. And I was like, okay, go out the fucking room then. So the first month, I think it must have been first month, 2 months maybe, I could never talk when someone was around because I was
Yeah,
that
definitely.
embarrassed, and I was
I've
like,
still got
Carly,
that now. I've still got that now. Really, it's hard. It's very hard.
and I'm like, Carly, stop looking at me, get out of the room. But then literally 2 weeks ago, I'm talking on my story in a coffee shop. There's like a couple of people next to me. I never would have done that. So I think it's very, very important to personally focus on your strengths first. And this is a personal thing, so it might not apply for you or anybody else. But focus on your strengths first. Get that baseline of absolutely smashing it. And then weaknesses, okay, I want to go into this area, I want to improve in this area. How do I go about doing that? And I think that's a fantastic point that you made, mate.
Huge.
So, yeah, that's everything I wanted to cover in this. I think it's about an hour long, roughly. Yeah. That's everything that I wanted to cover, those sort of 5 points. Mate, you're a credit to the industry, and I think I've never spoken to you properly like this, and you basically... you're everything the industry should be about, which is exactly why I wanted you to come on to here. If you just want to plug your social media, where we can kind of find you.
Yep. Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me. You know, the words that you said there, again, I can relay back to you. I've followed you right from the very beginning. You're saying all these things that you've been going through. I've followed you right from the very beginning. So again, you're absolutely credit. The things that you're doing at the minute are fantastic. And if there's more people like you, and you think there's more people like me, the more that we can influence people to become better personal trainers, become better people, then the industry as a whole is going to benefit from that. So, you know, like I say, keep doing what you're doing. So I can find me on Instagram at Callum Taylor Fitness, also on Facebook as well, on Callum Taylor Fitness as well. And yeah, just go and check us out. I try and make sure that I provide as much value as I possibly can for clients that are following me, for example. And I absolutely love what I do. So if you want to come and say hello, like the page, give us a follow, then that'll be fantastic. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on. It's been cool. It's been cool talking to you. It's good.
No worries, dude. Thank you so much, man.
Spot on. Cheers, mate.